So now we're going to take some data and we're going to represent it by using two different types of plots. One is called a dot plot and the other is called a box plot. So here's a set of data. This data may be out of 20 total students, how many pets are owned by each student. So for example, in this frequency column, this frequency means the number of people. So in this case, there are 2 people who don't own any pets. There are 2 people who own only 1 pet, and so on. So first we'll make a dot plot. And a dot plot really is just what it sounds like. It's a plot of dots. So I'm going to put a horizontal line on the bottom to represent my number of pets that people could own. And then I make dots to represent how many people own that number of pets. So there are 2 people who don't own any pets. We put 2 dots. There are 2 people who own 1 pet. There are 5 people that own 2 pets. There are 5 that own 3 pets. There are 3 that own 4, 2 that own 5, and 1 that owns 6 different pets. That's our example of our dot plot. Just a simple array of dots. And some things you can tell from this dot plot is you can determine the mode. The mode, recall, is how many are the most number of data points. So our mode in this case would be both 2 and 3 pets because we have the most number of students who own them. That's about all we can really get from a dot plot though. So there's other things we can get also. And that's going to be using our calculator. So let's go to our calculator and let's enter in this data. Now the calculator is kind of funny here because the calculator doesn't really like you to make 2 columns of data. So what I'm going to do is after I title my column pets, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, whoops. Let's clear that out and move down to the next one. There we go. So just a quick note, if you get an error that says a syntax error, it means that the calculator was expecting something other than what you put in. So you typed in something in wrong. So getting back to our data now, the calculator does not like to use 2 columns of data for its dot plots. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter in 0 pets twice. There were 2 people who had 0 pets. I'm going to enter it in twice. There were 2 that had 1 pet. I'm going to enter that in twice as well. There were 5 that had a total of 2 pets. There's my 5 people with 2 pets. 5 with 3 pets. 3 with 4 pets. 2 with 5 pets. And 1 with 6 pets. Quick check, I had 20 total pieces of data, and I'm in row 20. I'm looking good. So here's how we're going to make our dot plot on the calculator. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Control, and we're going to go to the letter I. Control I allows you to add a page. So the page I want to add in is called a Data and Statistics page. It's where we display our data. Remember, we type our data in lists and spreadsheets. We display our data in Data and Statistics. So I'll go here. You can press 5 right away, or you can press Enter now. And I get a big scramble of data. What I want to do, though, is I want to move my cursor down to where it says Click to Add Variable. If you can see, I'm going to go down to the bottom here. And once I get to where it says Click to Add Variable, I'm going to click in the middle, and it's going to say, well, what variable do you want to enter? I want to enter the variable that I called pets. And look what it does. It lines up my dot plot for me. So that dot plot is a pretty cool thing to do. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to go back to my previous tab for a minute. So the way to do that is to go Control and then press your click pad to the left. That bounces back and forth between them. So now I'm on my list and spreadsheet. If I go back to the right, I'm in my dot plot. I want to go back here to list and spreadsheets. And what I want to do is I want to analyze that data like I did in my previous video. So I'm going to go to menu. I'm going to do the 411. I have one set of data. I'll tab over to OK. I'm going to call my first list pets. I'm going to tab down. Press OK. And it gives me my data way up here, though. And the ones I want to focus on for this part is called the 5-number summary. The 5-number summary is going to help me to build my next plot, my box plot. So I want to record these 5 values: the minimum, the lower quartile, the median, the upper quartile, and the maximum. So let's go and write those down. My minimum value was 0. My lower quartile was 2. My median was 3. Upper quartile was 4. And the max was 6. So here's how I'm going to represent my next plot, my box plot. Again, I'm going to make my number line. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Space out a little evenly as well if you can. It always looks best when you have even spacing between your values. So mine are pretty good. So here's the way we make our box plot. First, we put dots, just one dot only, to show where 0 would be our minimum. And we do the same for our maximum. So now we have our 0 and we have our 6 plotted. Now the other 3, they don't get represented by dots, they get represented by lines. So above the 2, I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to go to the upper quartile above the 4 and draw a line. And here's where I get my name for my box plot. My value Q1 and my value Q3 make up my box. I have to put my median in too. The median gets another line right down the middle of the box. And then what we do is we can connect our lines to our extreme points. So this is our box plot. Now remember the dot plot from before. The dot plots told us the mode. It told us that 2 and 3 were the most number of pets offered. In the box plot, we get a little bit more data. We get that the median is 3. What we can also get, you might remember the range from a couple days ago. The range is the maximum, subtract the minimum. So the range is 6. Another important value is the IQR, the interquartile range. And the interquartile range is the difference between the upper and lower quartile. So in this case, our upper quartile is 4, our lower quartile is 2. The interquartile range is 2. So let's talk a little bit more about this. The interquartile range is going to contain 50% of our data. Because if you think about it, we're dividing it into quartiles. So 25% of our data should be from 0 up to 2, the lower quartile. Another 25% should be inside our box, between quartile 1 and the median to the upper quartile. And then the upper quartile to the max should be another 25%. That's why we call them quartiles. It divides it into quarters. Now you might be saying, can your calculator do this? Yes, it can. Let's go to the calculator and check it out. So from the calculator, if you can get to your page where there's your dot plot, you need to start with the dot plot. So now if you press menu from your dot plot, notice the first option is plot type. So I'm going to choose that option, and I'm going to choose a box plot. I'll press enter, and my dot plot changes to a box plot. And again, if I want to use my cursor, I can move my cursor over, and you can see it's telling me that my lowest value, my minimum, is 0. My lower quartile is 2. My median is 3. upper quartile is 4, my maximum is 6. So that's how to use the calculator to make a dot plot and a box plot.